The latest road bike group set from Sram, Campagnolo and Shimano are excellent, well, mostly. But I think for the money and reasons around choice, you're better off buying a group set which is now 8 years old. There's just one slight issue with it. I think that Shimano's Ultegra R8000 group set is the best ever made. It gives you loads of things to love, from amazing shifting to powerful brakes, and crucially, it's not crazy expensive. Oh, and it'll come in rim brake, disc brake, mechanical shift and electronic shifting version, so there's loads of choice to suit everyone's bike. I also really like the ergonomics, which to me is one of the most important things about a group set. The bit that you have in your hands is literally the only contact that you have with a group set. So having something that is comfortable is massive. But the biggest thing is the price. You can easily get the rim brake mechanical shift set brand new for under 700 quid. And if you want the current generation of Ultegra, it's a grand more because of Di2 and disc brakes. I know that's great tech because I love my wireless 12-speed shifting and buttery smooth disc brakes, but a grand more is a huge amount of money. Now, I wish I could compare to SRAM here because I loved the mechanical shift force group set. It was quite simply excellent, but SRAM moved to electronic shifting way before Shimano, and so you just can't get it anymore. So if I was buying a group set in 2025, I'd really have to look at R8000, but, and some of you may already know this, it did have one main issue. All right. I will admit that with the group set I've chosen, it had slight problems, which were the cranks fell apart, which obviously wasn't ideal. Now, the subsequent recall affected about 2.8 million cranks, which is a lot. Now, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission said that the recall applied to the cranks sold over an 11-year period from January 2012 through to August of 2023, after around 4,500 incidents of cranksets separating. 6 injuries were reported, including bone fractures, joint displacement, and lacerations, which not great. Shimano's handling of the situation wasn't ideal either, putting an onus on users to check their crank serial number and then take the affected cranks to a bike shop for structural assessment. I had a crank in that lovely little recall, and I don't think anyone was happy with the way things went. My favourite group set isn't looking that great anymore, but there is a silver lining. Shimano said the recall was limited to cranks within specific product codes, and that any being sold today, they told me, would not be within these codes. So back to why this 8-year-old group set is so good. Well, the shifting quality on R8000 was a huge step up from Ultegra 6800. Shimano did a lot of work on the design of the front derailleur, making it much more compact, which cleverly gave you more power and a lighter feel at the lever. It was also significantly easier to set up, with little lines for you to match up the optimal cable tension. Honestly, I think they learned a lot from how easy SRAM made it to set up the upper jockey wheel position on their rear derailleurs. There was just a simple tool and you just lined everything up. Dead easy. Sticking with the rear end, Shimano made the shifting super quick, and it was accurate too. I had this group set for a few years and it was simple to keep the shifting tuned, and to say it worked anywhere would be an understatement. I had the pleasure of riding this group set over the cobbles of Roubaix, and it was outstanding. Genuinely the best bike ride I've ever been on. Now, I've touched on the fact that there was lots of choice, but I think this needs addressing further because it's something that we've lost a lot of in the world of bikes. Not too long ago, you could get mechanical shifting with rim brakes, which was really cheap. You could get mechanical shifting with hydraulic discs, which was excellent for reliability and heavier bike packing bikes. Then you could have rim brakes from Di2, which was lovely for racing. And finally, you had the Di2 Hydro Disc combo if you had all of the money. These days, brands are giving us less choice. Rim brakes seem to be on their last legs in the road bike world, and mechanical shifting is largely reserved for lower end group sets. It's a shame. I loved having the choice that Ultegra R8000 provided, but most of that is now gone. As with most Groupset launches, we first got the range-topping Dura Ace model, and then a few months later Ultegra came along, and barely anything had changed. Okay, so there were some material changes resulting in a slightly heavier weight, but all of the important stuff was there. At the levers you had reach adjustment, and if I remember correctly, lever pull adjustment. That's excellent for setup. And you also had the hood buttons on the Di2 version so that you could control your computer screen. Shimano and Sram both take certain features away from their lower tiered group sets. I mean, how else would they tempt you to spend more on Dura Ace and Red? But what I loved about Ultegra R8000 is that you got all of the features that you actually needed. It was tip-top. Rim brakes were good enough for years, and I don't see why every road bike should have disc brakes these days, but disc brakes are genuinely really good now, and that is sort of my point. Both are good, and that's what I loved about R8000, is that you could choose. Nowadays everything is disc, but with old Ultegra you could have rim brakes with mechanical shifting or Di2 or disc with the same choice. There are two very specific things that I liked about the brakes though. The first is that the rim brakes had plenty of power. Shimano designed it so that as long as you kept everything clean, the system worked well on alloy and carbon brake tracks. Then there were the disc brakes, which along with Dura Ace were the first road levers to get Shimano's servo wave tech. This quickly engaged the pads to the rotor, but then progressed the power slowly, giving you loads of control. They are really, really nice to use. Basically, whichever way you went, you had very good brakes. That's good. I know, it wasn't all good though. There was the huge crankset recall, that was quite bad, but there were other annoying things too. Firstly, to connect the Di2 system to your phone or head unit, you needed the moronic wireless connector, which you had to hide somewhere in your bar and frame, and whatever you wrapped it in, it would work loose and then rattle, and then you had to do it all again. Now the rotors, which came with the disc brake group set, were also a bit naff. I think Shimano tried to make them a bit too light, and the result was quite a bit of warping pretty much any time you went down a hill or looked at one. But other than that, it was excellent, and you can still get it for way less money than the latest stuff. Yes, it might be 8 years old and there were a couple of annoyances, but the shifting is brilliant whether you go for the Di2 or the mechanical version. The braking is excellent and the price is pretty good too. So that in my eyes makes it the best road group set that you can currently buy. Long may it still be available. Now, I'm assuming that some of you might disagree with me. Now, if you do, I'd like to hear your reasoning in the comments, and you can't all say the snapped cranks thing. I addressed that, all right? Or if you agree with me, I think I'm gonna need some support. Oh, and just to prove that rim brakes aren't dead, Joe showed his latest TCR. It's just up here, and rumors are true. He's back for hill climb season in 2025, so definitely make sure that you're subscribed for that.